Good afternoon, I'm Karen Holmes Ward. In 1990, President George W. Bush declared the month of November as Native American Heritage Month to celebrate and honor the cultures and traditions of Native people. ABC, in partnership with National Geographic, is raising awareness through the presentation of Our America, Reclaiming Turtle Island. It's an hour-long documentary special about Native sovereignty, the inherent authority of American tribes to govern themselves. Here's a look.
Sovereignty is incredibly important for tribal communities because it's really all about reclaiming our power and reclaiming our destiny and our future, not only just to survive, but also to continue to thrive.
Any representation that we have had throughout the years in Hollywood, in the fashion industry, has been cultural appropriation, and it has allowed people to think that it is okay, but it harms our people.
Ways that you can be allies to Indian country, to relatives across the board, across Turtle Island, is to be empathetic, respectful, and understand the intergenerational trauma that a lot of people have gone through.
And joining me now from the West Coast is Zinga Blake. She is the Race and Culture Executive Producer at the ABC-owned television station. Zinga, how are you today?
Hi, I'm so good. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for having me on here.
Good to see you. Let's talk about the goal and the purpose of the documentary.
For sure. This whole project was born out of a regular cadence that my Senior Vice President, Adrienne Anderson, has with National Geographic. It's a meeting that they have, and over the summer they were talking about this incredible July issue, which I'm going to show you right now because it is so
beautiful. Beautiful cover.
Yes. The cover issue of this magazine was called We Are Here, and this was talking about Native American sovereignty. And so when Adrienne saw it, she said, oh my gosh, we have to do something on this. And I was brought into the conversation, and they shared it with me, and I got to sit and read the story. And I was completely just... there were so many emotions.
Bowled over.
I was just, yes.
I know it's hard to boil down 1 hour into our interview today, but give us just a top line of what the documentary is about.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So basically, we are bringing this cover issue to life called We Are Here, and it centers around the topic of Native American sovereignty. So the question, though, is, what is Native American sovereignty, right?
Right. That's right.
So I'll define it. So Native American sovereignty is the inherent authority of American tribes to govern themselves and honor and preserve their cultures and traditions. And so that is what we are exploring in this documentary with some of the individuals that were featured in this story, photographed by National Geographic photographer Keely.
Now, how are Indigenous people reasserting control over their land and the laws and how they live? How is it being done?
Honestly, I can only speak to the conversations that I had. I can't speak for the whole entire, of course, the communities.
Of course.
But what we actually just focused on was talking about, really, it's all about preservation and reclaiming their power, right? So, for instance, the first act we focused on Quanah Chasing Horse, who's on the cover of National Geographic magazine. She's a fashion model. She is also an activist, and her mother, Jody Potts Joseph, who's a tribal leader. She's also on a National Geographic show called Life Below Zero, Alaskan Natives, and what we focused on with their story was the preservation of identity. Right. And they specifically talked about the cultural significance and the traditional significance of traditional tattoos. Right. Apparently, Quanah is the first girl in her tribe for over 100 years to have a traditional tattoo. She got hers at 14. And they talked about the relevance of that and what it means. And also Quanah talked about how a lot of times when people see her, like, of course, she'll see other people having these tattoos and marks. And she said that is extremely harmful because that is a part of cultural appropriation, right? Because in history, when the Native American communities used to want to practice their traditions, especially traditional tattooings, they were met with consequences. So we talked about that and how now they're taking back that power of, bringing back these traditional practices.
What other kinds of conversations are going on in this documentary?
We talked about the preservation of food sovereignty. food sovereignty is huge, right? We're talking about the significance of a staple food of corn, white corn, and also talking about bringing back pre-colonial diets to combat health conditions, like horrible health conditions that the community is facing, like heart disease and diabetes. And so we got to sit with traditional food growers, seed keepers, artists, and we talked about the preservation of history with Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, who I didn't even know was Native American. And so he is a Marvel comic book writer, and what he's been doing is bringing in, like, expanding representation of Native Americans in this Marvel comic universe. So, and using that platform to teach about history. And he pays so much homage to his grandmother, who is Shoshone and Hopi, from the Hopi tribe. And so it was a wonderful journey for me to learn about all of these different conversations, traditions, because I did not learn this growing up. Right? And we went to good schools, but it's just something that, and it's actually sad that we don't know about this. You know,
it's interesting. Later in the program, we're going to talk about the importance of corn in the indigenous diet. So that's more to come at the end of the program. I hear the excitement in your voice as you're talking about this documentary. What would you like us to leave with after viewing it?
Oh, I love that question, because I would say, there's a quote that I heard a while ago that stuck with me, and it is, curiosity is the cure to ignorance. And so when it comes to Indigenous people and the Indigenous people of this land, we as an audience, for the most part, are so unaware and unconnected. And so having the opportunity to have spent time with these incredible people that are featured in this magazine, I got to learn so much more, and I had so many more questions. I became more curious, and that is what I want the audience to basically have the same kind of reaction that I did. Because when we start asking questions and when we start learning more about people, that brings us to a place of understanding and respect, especially for Native American nations across Turtle Island. So that's my hope for that.
Okay, Zinga Blake, Race and Culture Executive Producer at the ABC-owned television stations. Thank you for bringing this documentary to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, everybody, the documentary is available on multiple streaming platforms, including Hulu, Apple TV, Android TV, and Roku. Make sure you check it out.